Okay, so tips for emotional recall. Or emotional recall tips. Well, first we need to know what emotional recall is. And if you want to know what emotional recall is, I recommend the book by Uta Hagen's Respect for Acting. It describes what emotional recall is, and it's pretty much just recalling your emotions from the past, events and things that you have gone through, just going back and understanding what that emotion was. What did your body do when you went through those things, and just getting a clear understanding of what you do when you're happy, when you're sad, when you are embarrassed, things like that. So then you just kind of recall those emotions. You can, it's so much to it. You can also think about a situation where you were embarrassed, where you tripped or over something and you had that feeling of embarrassment. Was there a smell that you smelled? Did you see a certain color? Things like that. So then when you place that in your scene work, that smell, it will trigger that past experience of that embarrassment, that emotion that you had that you need to put within the scene. If you were angry at one point, where you were just really just infuriated, right? Like you saw red and you probably literally saw something there that was red, then you will place that in your scene, part of like substitution. You will place an object in your scene that is red so that it would trigger that emotion. That's emotional recall. And you have like sense. When I was like a smell, you can recall a smell, a scent that you may have smelled something where you were in fear. All right, so that's what that is. It may work for some, it may not. The whole thing about this acting is that you have to do things in practice and see what works for you and what doesn't, because this may work for some and it may not work for others. So how do you have a bank of your emotions in like a box, right? Just sit down one day, and I saw this online, and if I can find it, I will put the link somewhere. This was a good example. Just draw a line in a sheet of paper, and in was a chronological order, just put the first time you've experienced like embarrassment, let me see, embarrassment or discovery of racism or you know, prejudice, some things like that, right? Remember those moments. Go through it. What was happening around you? Were there smells? Were there certain colors that you saw? Were there objects? Did you see, you know, miniature elephants or thumbtacks? Like, what did you see when that situation was taking place? And then those specific objects, just have a bank of those so that you can put them in the scene when you are doing the scene. Now, a thing for me, and this is me, and you can do that, right? Do that in your homework when you're breaking down a script. Do all this when you're breaking down the script. And then when you get on set, you don't necessarily have to depend on it so much. Don't like be in the scene and then think about, oh, a red ball, because that takes you out of the scene. This is my opinion and my work, right? I just trust that when I'm on set, everything that I did in my homework, if I did it right, if it worked, then it will come up in my scene work. But what I like to do is just really fully put myself in the moment. So that homework, what that does is help me to understand the emotion that should be in that scene when I do it. That helps me get an understanding of my character and the emotion and where my character can go and why they would go there. And it helps me, my body, to feel that, to see what I should feel in that scene. Now, every time you may not feel that, and it's because the other character, your scene partner, may give you something different, and it may take the scene a totally different way to where your body experiences something else. But again, in your homework, you can do this. You can do your emotional recall and see what that feels like. So then when you get on set, it doesn't take you out of total surprise. And then it also helps if you aren't able to just get anything when you're there. So if you do have to use that substitution with your emotional recall, then that can help. Man, it's a lot to it, but again, practice, see what works for you and what does not work for you. Again, you don't want to do anything that's going to take you out of the scene. So again, these are things that you can do in your homework when you're breaking down your scenes, understanding the character, and then just let it go. Once you get on set and you're in front of the cameras or you have your audience, let it go and just trust that you've done enough studying that if it's supposed to come, it will come. It will come up and it will affect you the way it needs to. Or just be so, engulfed? Be so in the moment to where you're trusting your instincts of empathy to come through and it relates to the character you're portraying. That works too.